Welcome! Today we're going to talk about this awesome 2020 Tesla Model Y long-range all-wheel drive that we have for sale. This has some extra special software on it. It has a full self-driving capability. The full self-driving has come a long way. I have a Tesla myself. I've been using the full self-driving for 2 years. 2 years ago, it was pretty wonky. It needed a lot of interventions. It needed a lot of human supervision. Back then it was in beta, but now it's out of beta and it's called full self-driving supervised, which means that it's largely full self-driving, but the supervised part means you still need to supervise it. Pay attention in case it does get tripped up. It is far, far better. 95% of the time it works great, but every once in a while it will get tripped up and you have to intervene. And there is a new update coming. Right now it does require to keep your hand in the wheel and pay attention, but there's a new update coming with this full self-driving, which will be hands-free. There's actually a camera right there, and the camera monitors your eyes, so if you're looking down off the road on the screen, you're not paying attention straight ahead, the camera will alert you to put your hands on the wheel, and then it will disengage the full self-driving. So this new hands-free full self-driving is pretty exciting, and hopefully in the coming weeks, coming months, it will be available in this one. So generally full self-driving right now costs $99 a month, but the previous customer bought the full self-driving. It stays with the vehicle. We've transferred this to our business account. We did not lose a full self-driving. We've sold many Teslas with full self-driving. We've never had a customer lose it. So we transferred this to our Tesla account. We did not lose a full self-driving. So when you buy it and we transfer it to your account, it will stay with the vehicle. So that basically entitles you to all future updates of the full self-driving software. You don't need to pay the $99 a month for it. It stays with the vehicle. And right now the full self-driving costs $8,000. So that's a big perk. We can see this one has 30,442 miles at the time making this video. The Model Y is available in rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. This is all-wheel drive, also known as dual motor, so it has a motor in the front, motor in the back, making it all-wheel drive, also making it really quick. That's like having two engines. 0 to 60 is a little over 4 seconds. This thing is really fast and fun to drive. Surprisingly fast for a crossover SUV. The Model Y is largely based off the Model 3 platform. The Model 3 is a sedan, where the Model Y is a compact crossover, but you have a lot more space. I have a Model 3, but the Model Y, even though it's based off the Model 3, has about 20% more interior space than the Model 3. I'm 6'2", I have a ton of headroom back here. The rear seats have a lot of space as well. We can see that the majority of the functionality is in the screen. There's not very many buttons or knobs. It's actually all contained in the screen. Some people ridicule Teslas for not having hard buttons and knobs for the climate control system and the radio. People complain about having to do everything through the screen. But that's largely the magic of the Tesla. Of Tesla's over-the-air updates, they're constantly improving it and adding features. For instance, this car was out for a year. Then one day in 2021, it got an update. And when you put the turn signals on, you have blind spot cameras. So this is a car that actually gets better as it gets older. You get updates to the full self-driving, you get updates to the safety features, you get updates to the software. You have a theater where they're adding new things to watch. You can't do this while you're driving, but when you're stopped, maybe your spouse is in the grocery store, you're waiting in the car with your kids, maybe you're waiting in line or riding on a ferry boat. Great time, a great way to pass away the time by watching movies or YouTube. You can also play video games. Then you have the toy box where you can play a light show. You have a colorizer, so some people like to wrap their Teslas. You can have your avatar match your wrap if you decide to wrap it. You have the silly things like the whoopee cushions. Some of the stuff is silly. Some of the stuff is actually real and functional. So the Model Y in 2020 had a fully charged range of right about 300 miles. But that can be kind of deceiving because this particular Tesla features lithium-ion batteries. Some Teslas use battery technology called LFP batteries, which stands for lithium iron, like, hey, I'm pumping iron, but we'll just call them LFP because lithium iron and lithium ion sound very similar. So LFP batteries are generally used in the cheaper standard range Teslas. They are not as energy dense. They don't, they weigh more. They don't hold as much energy as a lithium ion battery, but they are cheaper to produce and put in vehicles. So a lot of the less expensive Teslas, a lot of less expensive EVs have the LFP batteries. But LFP batteries actually like to be charged to 100% for daily use. Lithium ion batteries, which this one has, for daily use, they only like to be charged to 80%. You can see 80% recommended for daily use. So that gives you your range, a fully charged range about 250 miles at 80%, close to 300 miles. at 100%. But for most people, most people don't drive 200 plus miles a day. Most people drive about 40 or 50 miles a day. So this is plenty of range. You can just charge overnight at your house. But if you do need to road trip or drive a lot longer, it's perfectly fine. Every once in a while to charge it to 100%, that's not going to hurt it. That's perfectly acceptable. But for daily use, for the happy long health of your lithium-ion batteries, charge to 80%. But Tesla has an amazing supercharging network, second to none. You can use the screen here to find superchargers. We can see there's a lot. There's, let's see, within 7 miles of us, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 superchargers. And then you can navigate to them. It's always good to navigate to the supercharger, even though if you know where it is, because Tesla will start preconditioning the batteries. They'll start warming them up, so it'll charge faster and more efficiently. And that's really important in cold weather, especially when it gets to freezing. I remember in a cold spell, there's actually a lot of people having trouble fast charging their Teslas because their batteries were cold, but they didn't preheat their batteries, and that's why they were having so many issues charging with cold batteries. So that's a little Tesla tip for you. And then on top of that, Tesla has an amazing trip planner. So that takes pretty much all the range anxiety out of owning an EV, out of owning a Tesla. So you just put where you need to go. We're in Western Washington, but if we want to go to Eastern Washington, all the way across the state, 233 miles away, you can use the Tesla trip planner. And that will plan your trip for you. It will figure out how much range you need. So for instance, it's going to have us stop in Ellensburg, Washington. We'll arrive there with 23%, and we'll charge one time to reach our destination in Spokane. You can go a step further. You could drive across the whole country. Let's go to my own home city of Boston, Mass, all the way across the country, let alone across the state. It'll plan the whole trip for you. And the Tesla's trip planner is very complex. It takes into consideration ambient temperature, elevation, tire pressure, even wind speed. If there's like a 20-mile-an-hour headwind that you have to fight against, that could affect your range. It takes that all into consideration to have an accurate range when you get to your destination and to making the supercharging. So that's unique to Tesla. I don't know of any car companies, any other EVs that have a trip planner to the extent of Tesla. And then the thing too about this screen, all these hard buttons and knobs, moving through the screen, it's just like using an iPad. It's pretty intuitive, but there's also voice commands. There's 144 different voice commands that you can use. So a lot of the things you can do without even taking your hand off the wheel and your eyes off the road. For instance, you can make changes to the climate control, make it warmer. So every time I say make it warmer, it will increase the temperature by 3 degrees, and you can do it the other way. Make it cooler, and it'll keep on lowering the temperature by 3 degrees. And then you can put the rear defroster on, and then there's kind of silly stuff like this one, open butthole. And you can see it opens the charging port. Silly. I like Tesla, Elon, they have a sense of humor. Alright, so much to talk about. I could literally go on for an hour about this car. They're just so different than the other car. Nice color combination on black on black. On top of that, you have this really nice Yakima roof rack. I like the minimalist styling of the Model Y. It kind of has that wedge-shaped look to it. It's really grown on me. Both Model 3 and Model Y have similar styling. Since there's no engine up here, you have a frunk, which is really nice. It's extra storage. It's also a safety feature. Normally a car has an engine here, and in certain frontal collisions, that engine can get pushed inside the car, but you have a crumple zone that's about 60% larger than a vehicle with a gas engine in the front to absorb crash energy. In fact, when the Model Y was tested, it was I think when the NHTSA tested the Model Y, it was the safest crossover SUV they've ever tested. I think that the 4 safest cars in the road you can buy right now are all Teslas. For instance, the Model 3, which the Model Y is based off of, when the NHTSA first tested the Model 3 back in 2017, 2018, when it first came out, it was the lowest probability of injury in an accident out of any other vehicle on the road, the safest vehicle out of any other vehicle on the road. And the Model Y is pretty far up there too. Look at all this interior space for a compact. This is kind of a sad story. this guy probably isn't going to get the Father of the Year award, but in Hawaii, this father with his family in his Model Y tried to end things. His family, I guess I shouldn't be laughing, but he drove off a cliff, you know, thinking that would take everybody out, but they actually all survived, largely thanks to the safety of the Model Y. Sad story, but also I guess a positive story, since no one was really hurt pretty bad. They all recovered. I think the dad's in prison, but it proves how safe Teslas are. And if they were in any other vehicle besides a Tesla, the story might have ended up being a little bit different. Well, there you have it, a beautiful example of a 2020 Model Y with a full self-driving capability. We've been selling lots of Teslas over the years, and I can tell you that when full self-driving was not as advanced to the point it was a lot easier to find Teslas with full self-driving. I think people were kind of turned off by it. They were disillusioned because it really wasn't working as great as they thought it would. But now with full self-driving version 12 that's came out, it's kind of been game-changing. It was like a 10x improvement with full self-driving 12, and I can see it's a lot harder to find. A lot more people are keeping it. I use full self-driving about 95% of the time while I'm driving. It's actually really nice. It takes a big amount of workload off of you when the car is doing the work for you there. I'm just sitting there supervising, watching things, and the car is doing the work, and you get really spoiled by it. When I have to actually drive, I can't tell you, it's actually kind of like an inconvenience. I like driving, but I like driving on beautiful, you know, country roads. I don't like driving in stop and go traffic or at nighttime on the highway in the rain. So having these advanced ADAS system, advanced driver's assistance systems, really makes a big deal. Well, thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon, and have a wonderful day.